We're going to get right on into things, though, by starting off with the first showcase of the week. That being the Silent Hill live stream. Well, it was supposed to be a live stream. They dropped it 5 minutes early, so it was just a regular video. And everyone just said, "Oh, video! All right, skim through. Here's news. Here's news. Here's news," and that's how it worked out. How are you with Silent Hills? I'm Tyler.
Uh, I so first of all, I just wanted to say, as people like to say, it's spooky season, bitches. And I'm like so we were talking about this little pre-show. I'm not like the Silent Hill guy in the sense that I have all of this history with the franchise. I did play day it dropped PT, was very excited about it once. Of course, Kojima's involved and all this pedigree. And the pedigree this time around, not quite the same. Like I think honestly, despite Konami being a controversial company, the most controversial part of Silent Hills, this announcement, the remake especially, was Bloober Team, which is kind of like had a hit or miss track record being
Right.
handed over the keys to the car here, and the car being a car that everyone likes. It's like an old exotic sports car that no longer gets made because the remakes are terrible, or not the remakes, the HD collections essentially are terrible from everything I hear. It's just like bad
Mm-hmm.
port jobs. So there's no real way to like historically go back and play it because I'm more into retro games than you are in game collecting in general. So I don't know if you know this, but like Silent Hill, Silent Hill 2, those games, which big games, they're not like, oh, this like a weird, you think a misprinted. Those things go for like $100 to $150, like on the
Yeah.
resale market. It's if not more, it's nuts. So I don't really have the means to go back and play it, but I'm very excited to play this. Very excited for. I mean, we got like three good looking Final Fantasy or not Final Fantasy. Sorry, Resident Evil games. Or, God damn it, Silent Hill games.
Getting your places mixed up, getting the franchises all crossed in lines and everything.
It's all just it's one giant cesspool.
No, yeah, I'm not the biggest Silent Hill person either. Actually, I would just say I would go as far as say I'm really not a Silent Hill person. I mean, listeners and viewers already know I'm really not much of a survival horror person. My like first real foray into survival horror games was PT, which I enjoyed back in the day. I enjoyed playing that. The one time I did
It's a
play
good
it,
game.
it was good, very good demo. It's a shame that we didn't get to get the full thing, get the full vision afterwards. Um, but after that, like I played a bit of Resident Evil 7. I got to the second boss, never, and I meant to continue. I got to the second boss and then died a few times and said, all right, I'll get back to that, and just kind of never went back to it. That was a year ago. I do intend to finish that game because I was enjoying it. Um, and I've had a bit of a recent more like interest in survival horror games coming up with the Silent Hill ones that we have coming, Resident Evil ones, Callisto Protocol, Dead Space, so on and so forth. But I'm not really a survival horror person. So with all that being said, I've always appreciated Silent Hill, what it is, and I've understood the legacy. So whenever there's rumors about a Silent Hill game announcement coming, I'm like, I want it to happen because I want it to happen for the fans. I want them to be able to, get this thing that they've wanted for so long at long last. And we finally got
Yeah,
that
it's
this
fun.
week.
It's fun to be excited about things, even if you're like, I don't know what's going on. I'm just happy everyone's happy.
Right, exactly, exactly. So we finally got that this week in the form of four new Silent Hill games. One of them is kind of a weird game, but we'll talk about that. Of course, first up, let's talk Silent Hill 2 remake. Not remake's not in the title, but it is a remake of Silent Hill 2. I feel like Silent Hill 2 is the most maybe beloved of the Silent Hill franchise. As an outsider looking in, just my perception and understanding, I believe it's the one that is the most beloved, one of the most
Yeah.
iconic ones. Um, so there have been rumors for a while that this was happening. There were rumors for a while that it was Bloober Team, which people were not too excited and pleased with, especially given their track record. It's a bit hit or miss, it's a bit spotty in regards to quality and also writing, how they handle certain themes and everything like that. So people were a bit hesitant about this, and they still are. Nonetheless, though, I think visually, this looks amazing.
Yeah. I mean, playing Gotham Knights, and then watching a trailer for this, put those bad boys back to back. And I mean, one game feels like it's an '07, and the other one is Silent Hill 2.
Right.
It looks gorgeous for sure.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how this ends up shaking out. Like looking at the trailer gave me the vibe that Konami is being very protective of it. And they're saying, you can make it, but we are standing over your shoulder as you make this to make sure that nothing really, you don't really do too much to change things or make this not live up to the expectations of the legacy of this game, what people want from it, what people expect from it. So I'm hoping it ends up being as good as people want it to be. Do you think that it's going to live up to to like what Capcom did with Resident Evil 2 though? Because I think that's the bar that people are going to compare it to in terms of like classic horror game
So
being remade.
here, yes and no. My honest opinion is I'll probably enjoy it as someone coming late to it. If I can get my hands on two, or maybe I'll just bite the bullet and play the bad HD port. But I think like coming in maybe potentially as a outsider playing two, comparing the two, it always feels like it goes this way. We're coming into it, you're now just like, yeah, this is great. Similar to how I was with Final Fantasy VII Remake, and I was just like, hey, this is great, love it. But I never played the originals, and I feel like even if I went back and played the originals, because you don't have the nostalgia, you don't have that lens also of just like it looks better for its time, et cetera, et cetera. I would be like, yeah, I like the remake more, anyways. But I guarantee this is how it always goes. The fans, like hardcore fans of two, will have an issue with it for probably legitimate reasons, but also one of
Mm-hmm.
those things where it's like it's ultimately subjective. Um, and
Right.
so it just feels like that's how all these remakes go. And two is a high bar. RE2 is a high bar to set because that felt so universal, and that I don't know if I really heard anyone have those complaints that it feels like are inevitable with every other remake.
Right. Since like Resident Evil 2, it updated the gameplay and it kind of made a few changes to the story. I believe it did, or at least it kind of
I
altered the way
haven't
the
played it
story was
through.
told.
I think
Right.
I think one part annoyed me, and then my PS4 was overheating like a freaking jet engine, and so I was like, it literally wouldn't let me play. Like the PlayStation was like, we've got to shut down. Tried it again like 5 times, and this was like a year after it came out, and I was like, well, I'm not doing this. So
Mm-hmm.
even though it's a great game, should probably boot it up on my PS5, which I imagine would not have that issue. I'll get to it whenever we talk about RE4. Maybe I'll do a series playthrough or something. I don't know.
Right. But no, yeah, Silent Hill 2 remake. It is a thing. It is
I'm
happening.
hyped.
Visually, it looks great. I'm hyped. Just I don't think I'm gonna
That
play
trailer was
it.
sick. Like we should
It
just I should
was.
establish that's a sick ass trailer.
It was a great trailer. Again, I don't think I'm gonna play this game, but I am very excited for it. I'm very excited for the fans that are looking forward to it and all. Hopefully, Bloober Team can live up to all their expectations. The other big Silent Hill announcement that came from this stream in terms of games is Silent Hill F, which is a brand new game in the series. It's the next entry in the Silent Hill franchise, set in 1960s Japan. It is written by Ryukishi07, who apparently is the Japanese visual novel writer behind the Higurashi and Umineko series. Um, this game looks weird. Like the trailer we saw was not gameplay. It was more like in-engine footage, I believe, or CG. I
Also
believe
looks rad. Like
it looks
also looks
awesome.
rad. Yeah. I cannot like I don't know. I heard takes, and obviously we can compare and contrast if we want the two, but like, oh, RE4 stole Silent Hill spotlight. And I definitely didn't see it that way. Like I get that like there was just almost this rising tide of hype that maybe this all this stuff could never live up to it. But between this and then the not the weird one time event, but the other one that we're going to talk about, like all three of these trailers, like just to establish, they look badass. Like or
Mm-hmm.
whatever term you want to use to describe them, they all look absolutely great. Like cannot wait to play them. 10 out of 10 excited for all of them.
No, yeah, Silent Hill F. This one I think is the one I'm the most excited about of the Silent Hill announcements. Like this is above
Interesting.
two remake for me. Because I part of it might be because I don't have the connection to two that most other people do, but I think this one just visually was just stunning to me. Just the aesthetic, the vibe, the tone that they were going for, and everything, the mood that it had was very different from past Silent Hill things that I've seen. And I was really into it, and I just cannot get that image out of my head of the girl at the end of the trailer, and she's like in this blue environment, all
It
the
was
the
cool,
weird,
yeah. And
yeah,
then
all the like the weird flora and fauna growing on her and all. A bit of the trypophobia was starting to coming out and everything like that. And then the face just kind of fell out and up. It was unsettling in so many ways, but beautifully disturbing. And I just could not take my eyes away from it. And I keep just having that image in my head. That is why I'm the most excited about that one over two and over all the other
that's
Silent Hill announcements.
that's I like, don't get me wrong, I don't think there's any real wrong way to take like excitement levels for these three. And I say that because I think I like Townfall the most. Like, excitement wise, I love indie games. I liked
Mm-hmm.
the fusion of like those Annapurna Studios, like
Yes.
generally speaking, what they publish and like the games they take on. I generally speaking tend to like a lot of those studios' tendencies combined with the vibe we've got going on. It's like, yeah, just it's got that Twin Peaks, Silent Hill indie game vibe, but instead of just like, oh, this is off-brand diet, whatever that is, Walmart, Sam's Choice. It's like, no, they just get the Silent Hill license. That looks rad. And I think for me that there's a little bit of like when I see games like that, there's not as much the expectations of like, and there's also I'm just like me selfishly, I don't have all these dumbass systems that like I probably don't care that might get in the way. It's like, oh, let me reload my amp. Like
It's more
Townfall seems
straightforward.
like
It's
it may be
simplified.
freed from those shackles of just go make a scary game, man. Doesn't have to
Yeah.
have X, Y, and Z. And so that's why I'm personally most excited for that one. But again, all three look fantastic. I don't judge anyone for how they rank excitement for all three of those.
No, yeah. Townfall is my next most excited one. One I'm next most hyped for. As Tyler said, it's coming from Annapurna Interactive. They're publishing this. The development team is No Code, and I'm into it. It seems like it's going to be an interesting episodic narrative Silent Hill game. Whatever the story ends up being, like I think this will be the one I play the most. I'm most likely to play because it's a narrative game as opposed to all right, I'm myself walking through this game. And I'm like showing the character, like, with the narrative, I think I could get into it more and more likely to play it. So I am very excited for that one too. Annapurna, they have a good track record and all like that in terms of their games and their stories that
Good
they tell and
publisher,
all
yeah.
like that. So I'm behind it. And then the other one that Silent Hill announcement that we got is Silent Hill Ascension, which is like a live one-time experience type thing where people could come together. It's a narrative game, and then everyone like chooses the events that happens. That's a bit weird, bit interesting.
I
It goes live next year though.
notice I said excitement levels for those three. If this is your
Yes.
most excited, I am judging you. I yeah, man, this seems weird. I don't think there's any point when neither of us are like Silent Hill lore experts. So I doubt we're gonna be like, this is what it means. Like, whatever. This thing is certainly gonna exist. And my guess is it's gonna be, ironically enough, like any one of those million Resident Evil games that normal people don't know. They're like, what's that one where it was multiplayer only? And we're just like, oh yeah, I remember that announcement trailer, and then promptly everyone forgot it exists.
Yeah,
This may get a little more traction because it might be the first of the four to come out, but like I still don't think that means it'll be good.
probably not. Probably not. I don't think many people are going to be going crazy over Ascension. Um, but yeah, those are the game announcements, and then we got a movie announcement: Return to Silent Hill. This is another Silent Hill movie. It's based on Silent Hill 2, and it's actually being directed by Christoph Gans, who directed the first Silent Hill movie. And in my personal, not professional opinion, I think that first Silent Hill movie is pretty good. I think it's a pretty
So
good movie, and it's a, dare I say, great video game movie as a non Silent Hill fan.
I've never seen it.
Interesting. I don't think it's that
And
bad.
so that's the thing. The takes are coming back around now. And it seems like people in general, the consensus is you are correct here, is that like, hey, actually, not that bad.
Yeah,
Um,
it's really not.
so
As a
I'll probably
movie, it's good video game
maybe
movie.
I'll watch it before October's done. Spooky season. Um, but I do have, before we move on to Resident Evil, I thought about this take right before we started rolling on the Silent Hill stuff, and I was like, I'll save it because it's tangentially related. I've
Okay,
got a take. Let me
all
know
right.
whenever you're ready.
Give it to me. Give me the
All
take.
right, turn on the TikTok camera. This this is a scorching one, but I think for Kojima's legacy, PT, aka Silent Hills being canceled, was better than had it been made. Now, hear me
Interesting.
out. Hear me out. I'm not
Continue.
saying it would have been a bad game. I'm not saying like this is not anti Kojima. It's kind of anti Konami in general. My general vibe is anti Konami because they seem like a shitty company. But I think that with how fans of Silent Hill are in general, like how critical they can be, and I think with how weird and nonsensical Kojima games can get, as we've seen at times, that had that game actually came out, it would have been like, hey, there's some people that would have given that game like fours or fives probably, and there's some people that have been like, this is the greatest thing ever. But it never being released means that like in our head, that is the most fucking awesome game of all time. Like it's just like this crazy. It's a legend. It is this hype moment that we never got, and I think those moments tend to live on in history more so than that game came out 7 or an 8, and I think
reminds
that's what would have happened.
that reminds me of Versus 13 in Final Fantasy 15. Everyone's just like, oh
Which
man,
turned into 15, right?
everyone's like, Versus 13 would have been amazing. And it's just like, we hate 15. And I'm like, guys, let
But it's
Versus
kind of the
13
same
die.
game. So would you have
Like,
thought versus 13?
let Versus 13 die. Like, it's not happening. I mean, now we're going to be kind of sort of getting it in Kingdom Hearts in the future. And I'm not looking forward to all the Versus 13 stands
And
coming out the woodworks. Like,
to
yeah, this is what we should have got.
to clarify it just a little bit more, I think we're currently in the best timeline for that game, right? Because
Yes.
there's a lot of timelines where that's just an announcement trailer, which kind of sucks, and we never get just how sick the like everything leading up to the demo was. We never get the legacy of, and do you have a PS4 with PT on it, et cetera, et cetera. And
Mm-hmm.
also if it gets released, maybe blah blah blah. The timeline we're in now, which is where like that got released, it was sick. We were all super hyped, and then Kojima left, and there was all that, and now we've got like there's leaked just footage of some of like what would have been outside the town, et cetera. That's all sick, but like, did we really want a Silent Hill game with Norman Reedus in it? No offense, Norman Reedus, if you're watching, you seem like a nice guy, but like, did we want Silent Hill with that? Like there's
I would have
just,
been
I
into
think
it.
there's all these outside factors. It might have been good, but I think the hype was like, this is the perfect game, or this is a 10 out of 10. I think in reality, it's a 7.5 or an 8. We'll never know. That's the beauty of this. We get this
Mm-hmm.
take. The only reason this take can exist is because it never came out better for his legacy. That's all I'm arguing.
Fair. I also think this will be the final thing I say on this, and then we're done with it. I
Yeah.
think that you are 100% right that it's better for the game's legacy as of right now. I think that had the game come out, because that was 2014, theoretically,
Mm-hmm.
depending on how development would have shaken out, it could have been out by 2017. The question then becomes, is it out before Resident Evil 7 or after Resident Evil 7? You see, because
Yeah.
depending on when it came out, that would have played another factor in things. Because it was the fact that it was first person. It was the return of Silent Hill. You had this giant trio of Norman Reedus, Kojima, and Guillermo del Toro working on this game. Like the stars were aligning for it to be something special and something great. And if it came out when it came out, might have played a factor in it, because then you directly compete against Resident Evil 7, which is also doing first person and is a return to form for Resident Evil 7 as well. Would have been a lot of things. So we'll never know. We'll never live in that alternate reality where
And
we
that's the
see
beauty of it.
how it turns out. But I'm happy with at least what we got. What we got, it's a tease, but it's a nice thing to look back on.
Perfect. Perfect.